In my village, when a child rises too quickly, the elders begin to count his footsteps. They do not clap, they do not shout, they watch. The wind carries their silence like smoke across the compound. I was not born into wealth. My father was a hunter who returned more often with stories than with meat. My mother wove mats that sold for little. We were not poor enough to beg, but not rich enough to rest. Yet, from a young age, anything I touched seemed to prosper. If I planted, the yam grew thick as a man's thigh. If I traded, my basket returned heavy with cowries. If I spoke in the council of youths, others nodded before I finished. People began to say, "That boy walks with a shadow that is not his own." I liked those words. Success is sweet palm wine. At first it refreshes, later it intoxicates. The year I turned 25, the rains came late. The elders poured libation, the women sang to the river, the drummers called to the sky. Still, the clouds passed us by, as if our village had offended them. But my farm remained green. While other fields cracked open like old clay pots, my crops stood tall, leaves shining as though they drank from an unseen stream. Men began visiting my land at dusk, pretending to admire the ridges. Women passed by slowly, whispering into their wrappers. Children stared at me the way they stare at a masquerade, half fear, half wonder. Old Mama Ikene said it first. "No tree grows alone," she muttered. "Even the tallest Iroko has roots that drink from somewhere." I laughed when I heard it. Laughter is easy when your barn is full. One evening, as the sun bled into the earth and goats found their way home, the oldest elder sent for me. His name was Wanko. His back was bent like a question mark, and his eyes had the color of old smoke. He rarely spoke, but when he did, the village listened the way dry ground listens for rain. I entered his hut barefoot. He did not greet me immediately. He chewed kola nut, spat slowly. Then he said, "Success that runs faster than destiny must one day look back." I waited. He lifted his eyes to mine. "Tell me, whose name did you call at the crossroads?" I frowned. "I called no one." He nodded as if I had answered something else. "Be careful that your shadow does not begin to walk ahead of you." That was all. No accusation, no blessing. Just words that hung in the air like trapped birds. I left irritated. Elders speak in riddles when they fear plain truth. I told myself he was jealous of youth, jealous of strength, jealous that the gods favored me, because by then I had begun to believe they did. There was a tree at the edge of my farmland, an old tree. Its bark was pale, almost white, and no one remembered who planted it. Children were warned not to play near it. Hunters did not rest beneath it. It stood alone, a silent witness to seasons older than memory. The year the drought came, I had cleared around that tree. Not cut it, just cleared around it. And that was when my harvest doubled. I began leaving small offerings there. Nothing serious, just palm wine poured at its roots, a cock once, some kola nuts. I told no one, not because I feared, but because I did not want others to copy me. Soon, traders from neighboring villages sought me out. My name traveled ahead of my footsteps. Even the chief began asking my opinion in gatherings. Me, a hunter's son. My mother would smile quietly, but sometimes at night I heard her praying longer than usual. Then the dreams began. In them, I stood beneath that pale tree. Its branches stretched like arms without hands. The ground beneath it pulsed softly, as if breathing, and from its trunk a voice would whisper, "Nothing is free." Each time I woke, my room felt smaller. But when morning came and I saw my overflowing barn, I dismissed the dreams like weak smoke chased away by wind. Pride is a drum that deafens the one who beats it. The drought worsened. Livestock died. The river thinned. Yet my farm remained green, greener than before. And that was when the first child disappeared. He had been seen last near my land, chasing a goat. The village did not accuse me, not openly, but silence grew heavier. Conversation stopped when I approached. Eyes lingered too long. Then, 3 nights later, I returned from my farm late. The moon was thin like a blade. As I passed the pale tree, I heard something move above me. Not wind, not bird, something heavier. I looked up, and for the first time, I saw that the bark of the tree was not pale, it was bone white, and something was hanging from one of its branches, swaying gently. Something small, something shaped like a child. I did not step closer. I did not run either. I simply stood there, listening to my own heartbeat as the thing slowly turned toward me and whispered my name. They say when a spirit calls your name at night, you must not answer. I answered, not with my mouth, but with my feet. The thing hanging from the branch did not fall. It did not climb down. It simply swayed, turning slowly as if the night itself pushed it. The moon hid behind a cloud, and for a moment the world was only breath and shadow. "Why do you fear what feeds you?" it whispered. Its voice was thin, like wind passing through dry reeds. Yet I heard it clearly, not with my ears alone, with my bones. My throat tightened. Still, pride held me upright. "I asked for nothing," I said quietly. The leaves above me trembled, though there was no wind. "You cleared the ground, you poured wine, you broke the soil, you opened the mouth." The branch creaked. My mind searched for courage the way a drowning man searches for land. "I gave only respect," I insisted. A soft laugh followed, not loud, not cruel, just certain. Respect is never small. The shape shifted. The moon slipped free from the cloud, and I saw it clearly, not the missing child, not flesh and blood, but something woven from memory and bone. Its face was both young and ancient, smooth yet hollow-eyed. Then it spoke words that tightened around my heart like rope. "Success is not a gift, it is an exchange." The branch snapped, but nothing fell. The shape dissolved into pale mist that sank slowly into the trunk of the tree. Silence returned. Even the insects had stopped singing. I walked home without looking back. That night I did not sleep. When the cock crowed, I was already seated outside, staring at the eastern sky. My mother watched me from the doorway. She did not ask questions. Mothers know when silence is heavier than speech. By mid-morning, the village was restless. The missing child had not returned. His mother wailed near the well, her voice cracking like dry earth. Men searched the bush. Boys beat sticks against tall grass. The chief called for order, but fear does not obey commands. When I passed through the square, conversations bent around me like grass around a snake. Old Mama Ikene spat on the ground when she saw me. "Some trees," she said loudly, "bear fruit in daylight and bones at night." I did not stop walking, but her words walked with me. That evening, the elders gathered beneath the ogilisi tree. No drums, no laughter, only low voices and long pauses. Smoke from the cooking fires curled into the sky like unanswered prayers. At last, Nwanko sent for me again. This time, his heart felt smaller. He studied me for a long while before speaking. "When yam grows too quickly, we check the soil." I kept my voice steady. "My soil is my own." He nodded slowly. "Is it?" His eyes shifted toward the doorway, toward the direction of my farmland. "There is a tree," he continued, "older than this village. It stood there before our fathers buried their fathers. It is not evil, but it is not empty." I said nothing. He leaned closer. I could smell kola nuts and age. "Did you feed it?" My silence answered him. He closed his eyes. The land remembers every offering, even those made in secret. A long pause stretched between us. Then he said the words that settled into my chest like cold ash. Power borrowed without witness demands repayment without warning. I left his hut with anger burning behind my ribs. Why was my success a crime? Why must my harvest answer for another man's missing child? Had I tied the boy? Had I called him to the tree? No. And yet, that night, the dreams returned. I stood again beneath the pale tree, but this time the ground was soft, almost wet. My feet sank slightly into the soil. The trunk pulsed like a living chest. From its back, shapes pressed outward, small hands, many hands. They did not break through, they simply pressed. And the whisper came again, the roots must drink. I woke with mud beneath my fingernails, real mud. My breathing turned shallow. When dawn came, I ran to my farm. The crops were greener than ever, too green. Their leaves shone with wetness that was not due. I knelt and touched the soil. It was dark, rich, and warm. A smell rose from it, metallic, familiar, wrong. Then I saw it. Near the base of the pale tree, where I had poured wine many times before, the earth had shifted, as if something beneath it had moved during the night. I stepped closer. The soil there was not only dark, it was red, and as I stared, the ground trembled softly, like a throat preparing to speak. Behind me, I heard footsteps, many footsteps, villagers approaching, and from beneath the tree, something began to push upward, slowly, deliberately, as if answering a call I had made without knowing. And this time, when the earth cracked open, it did not whisper, it cried. They say when the earth cries, it is not the soil that suffers, it is the living. The ground beneath the pale tree split open like a calabash struck too hard. The villagers froze behind me. No one screamed. In my village, fear does not shout, it watches. From the crack in the red soil, a hand emerged, small, mud-covered, trembling. The mother of the missing child collapsed before the sound could leave her throat. The men held her back, but no one moved forward. Even the chief remained still. Authority means nothing when the land begins to speak. The hand did not claw. It did not struggle. It simply rested on the surface, fingers spread as though testing the air. Then another hand appeared, and slowly, the shape of a child pulled itself upward from the earth. But it was not whole. Its eyes were closed. Its skin carried the color of the soil. Its chest did not rise. It stood there, upright, unsupported, facing me. A murmur spread behind my back like wind through dry leaves. No one touched me, yet I felt pushed forward by their silence. The child's head tilted slightly, and though its lips did not move, I heard the voice clearly inside my skull. Roots drink what falls. My knees weakened. I did not call for this, I whispered. The wind stirred at last. The branches of the pale tree groaned above us. You cleared the path, the voice replied. You fed the mouth. You desired abundance. The villagers heard nothing of this exchange. To them, I stood staring at a corpse-shaped shadow that had no breath. Old Nkonkwo stepped forward at last. His voice, when it came, was steady. The land has answered. He turned to me, and his gaze was not angry. It was tired. What did you promise? He asked. I opened my mouth. Nothing came, because I had promised nothing, and that was the problem. In our tradition, nothing is taken without words. Words bind, words protect, words limit. But I had acted in secrecy, pouring wine without witness, offering life without agreement. I had entered a covenant without knowing its language. The child shape began to walk, not toward its mother, toward me. Each step left a red print on the soil. The villagers parted without thinking, forming a path between us. No one commanded them. Fear arranged them like beads on a string. When it stood before me, the air turned heavy. I felt my success, my farms, my wealth, my rising name press against my chest like stolen goods. Exchange, the voice breathed inside me. My mind raced. I thought desperately, take the harvest, take the barns, take the goats. The tree's branches shook violently. Blood remembers blood. The meaning struck like thunder. The drought, my untouched fields, the missing child, the red soil. I staggered backward. I shouted aloud, though I did not know to whom I spoke. For the first time, the child's eyes opened. They were not empty. They were filled with soil. And in them I saw reflections, not of myself, but of other seasons, other years, other offerings beneath that same tree. I was not the first. The pale tree did not choose victims, it accepted invitations, and I had invited it. Behind me, Nkwankwa's voice rose like a distant drum. When a man borrows strength from spirits older than his lineage, he must repay with what the spirits value. Silence fell again. The child lifted its hand and touched my chest. Cold spread through me instantly like water poured into fire. Memories not my own flooded my mind. Farmers long gone, traders forgotten, men who had risen too quickly in seasons of scarcity. I saw them pouring libation beneath this same tree. I saw their barns overflow. I saw sickness follow, disappearances, madness, slow ruin disguised as fortune. Not curses, balances. The child withdrew its hand. My heart pounded painfully. You prospered while others withered, the voice said within me. The land equalizes. I fell to my knees. The villagers gasped softly, as if they finally saw something change. My palms pressed into the red earth. I will stop, I whispered. I will cut the tree. I will burn it. A low rumble vibrated from the trunk behind me. Fire cannot burn what was fed willingly. The child stepped closer. Its soil-filled eyes locked on mine. Death, it said, and this time the word left its lips in a dry, cracked whisper all could hear. A woman screamed. The wind rose sharply, whipping wrappers and dust into spirals. The tree's roots began to push through the ground around us, thick and pale, like bones surfacing from a shallow grave. They moved slowly, not rushing, encircling. The chief tried to step forward, but the ground beneath him softened, forcing him back. The roots reached my ankles, cold, alive, and in that moment I understood something the elders always knew. Spirits do not shout, they wait. The child leaned close to my ear and spoke the final demand, not my harvest, not my wealth, but something far heavier, something that made my blood freeze before the roots tightened their grip. And as the villagers watched, unable to move, the pale tree began to pull me downward, slowly, deliberately.